All right, we ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday night call. It is July 25th, 2021, and we've been off for a couple weeks due to my scheduling issues, but we are here tonight. And tonight, what we are going to do is we're not going to do the chapter. We will do that next week, but we are going to go through a core value exercise.
Ooh.
This is the Six Sigma core value exercise, if anybody's familiar with that. So tonight it is Priya and I, and we are going to go through this. I've already gone through it, but I think it's very, very beneficial because as we're looking to have more abundance in our life, not just financially, but in all areas, it's important to know, well, why does this thing kind of resonate with me? Why does this thing kind of bother me? And a lot of times it will come down to your core values. And it's something that a lot of people don't focus on. And we're going to focus on it tonight. So
Okay.
if you have your pen and paper, we'll get started. And I will share my screen in a moment, but right now I just wanted to read this first. Core values. Core values are those things that have importance or worth to you. Your core values are part of your personality that'll help you succeed in life. When you understand your core values, you'll be more committed to doing your best in business, and others will be inspired by you to look at your business. You'll be happier in your personal life, and others will want to be involved in whatever you're doing to create this happiness. And you'll also give the best support to others because you'll be inspired to work with people. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to start with writing down on the piece of paper. We're going to go through some lists of words. And what I would like you to do, and watching this in the recording and Priya right now, when you look at these words, don't think about them. Just kind of, you can split it up in columns and just like do a couple on a column, but just focus on the words that jump out at you. You don't, it's not meant to put much thought into it about, well, what's this mean to me? What's it, because it's just the things that are going to resonate with you fairly quickly. And some of the words may resonate with you and some may not. I mean, and that's okay. I mean, you don't have to think that, well, there's this list of words. So, and if you've ever done this exercise before, have you ever done this exercise before?
I don't know if it's this exact one, but I've done something like it. So.
Okay. But yeah, because I know I had difficulty because I was trying to look at each word and thinking, excuse me, well, that kind of fits. And then why does it fit? I must have swallowed it. And I owe a bug. But anyway, hold on one second. I got to take a drink of water. Woo, baby. Wow. It's this dry air.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I know we skipped over what was new and good this week, but we'll cover that later. So we'll get that at the end. So yeah, so just look at the things and whatever kind of jumps out at you. So I'm going to start with the first list. And let's see if I can share my screen here. All this new stuff. Okay, oops. Let's see. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to share the screen. Share. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm gonna pop up the first list of words and we'll do about I'm gonna make it bigger here because you can't
Oh,
see.
you can zoom, just so you know, when you're on Zoom.
Oh, they can zoom?
Yeah, we can zoom the screen.
Okay, well, here's the first list of words. Can you see those clearly?
Yep,
There's 4
very
columns.
clearly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll give it about a minute.
And just take
So,
down the ones that resonate. Is that what you said?
yes, just write them out. Just write if something, you know, resonates with you, just write that word down.
Okay.
Don't think about what it means. Don't think about any of that. Just if it feels good for you, just write it down. And if none feel good for you, then don't write anything down.
All right.
But another tip is you can actually go through and like take 2 words at a time and say, okay, these 2. Yes, no, then these 2. And I mean, however you want to do it. And that's mainly for the people that may watch this later. So. And since it's just you and I, Priya, you can just tell me when
Oh,
you're
okay.
finished.
Okay. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. Now let's go to the next set of words. And we're gonna, I'll make sure I get them all in there. And we're gonna end up doing the same exact thing.
Okay.
Again, for people that may be looking at this recording, do not spend a lot of time trying to overthink a word and what you think it may mean or not mean. If it's something that feels like it fits for you in your life or your personality, just write it down and move on through the list.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. So we're going to move on to the next list. Let's move down here like this. Now, I don't know what this thing is here. It was just some kind of funny looking thing that just popped up there when I converted it, but okay. But yeah, because when we're done going through these lists, we are going to narrow it down and eventually we will get to the meanings of things for you personally. But right now we're just really focused on things that feel good to us. And of course, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, this is a personal thing to everyone. And, you know, I may think that a word has this meaning for me, but you may give the same word a different meaning. And that's fine as long as you understand what that value is for yourself.
Okay, I'm done with this one.
Okay. So we're on to our last set of words. Oh, I got to make this smaller because,
Or cross.
yeah, it's, let's see, That get it? I don't think so. That did, but it might be too much. That's okay. You said that you can zoom in. Can
Yeah,
you read
I
all that?
zoomed mine, so I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, because I think at first I was cutting off the bottom line.
Okay, and I'm good with that one too.
All right. Now,
Mhm.
everybody should have a list of words. It may be a big list, it may be a small list, but it doesn't matter. What I would like you to do next is I want you to count up how many words you have. Priya, how many words do you have?
Hang on a second too. Mm. 56.
How many?
56.
Okay, well, we need to cut that in half.
Oh man. Okay.
Like me, when I did it, I had a whole slew of words. I had to get a calculator to count. What's the matter?
Well, there's like it's hard to take them out.
And I know because they feel like this is really feels like me, and it's like I don't want to boot that one out, but
Okay. I can make it one of these. Mystery. This is tough.
don't think about it.
Okay, I'm working on it.
But just as a side note for everyone, I mean, once you really understand your core values, I mean, you can really start to look and live through those values. And you can actually see examples of them every day and you're like, whoa, maybe that's why I was always doing that, because that was something that really resonated with me. So
Mm. Okay, hang on. Now I've got. You said I had 56 now, so you want me
right.
to. Okay, so that's 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. Okay, still have too many. Don't want to give them up.
Hey, well, I'm gonna shatter your bubble here. Because you're gonna have to cut it in half again.
Oh my God, what?
Yep. We want to get down to 10. That's our goal. 10. My world is shaking.
What are you even talking about right now?
Oh, I know, I was right there. I mean, it was very hard for me because I was like, this is definitely me. And I can't cut it, but it went out the window.
Okay,
Oh.
fine. Grace, I let that go. Mastery. Okay. 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 Okay, I've definitely cut it down from half, but I'm trying to get to the 10 because you told me that that's what we need to do.
Yes.
Okay, so hang on.
Okay, take your time.
I've got taste that, and I'm just keep looking at it. But I'm like, that feels like food, and I don't want to let that go.
You have what?
Taste.
Oh,
Every time I go to scratch it out, like maybe I could leave that alone. Like all the foods I love keep coming up into my mind. 4, 5, 6. Okay. Wow. Can you hear my pen?
yes, I hear you. I hear you scratching it with authority. It's like,
It's like just let it go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I'm down to 16.
is taste still on there?
It is, man. I'm not giving up the taste. Okay, this. Okay. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my God, 12. Okay, 2 more to go. Hang on. Oh, let's count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I've got one more to. Oh, let that go. Then. There goes my fun. Okay.
Oh, you scratched fun and kept taste?
Yeah, I did actually. Okay, hang on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I didn't get rid of one too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, there it is. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay.
Okay, you got 10?
Yes.
All right. Now what I want you to do is, it's a nail biter.
I feel like I'm not liking you right now. I don't know why. I feel like it's personal.
Oh, don't take it personal. Oh my goodness. Now, what I'd like you to do is just write a horizontal line, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna put 5 of the words on above the line and 5 below the line. The 5 that are going to go on the top of the line are the ones that you feel most impactful about, that impact you the most. Like, wow, this is really, oh, that didn't feel good. It's making me do all this.
I don't like you. Okay. So this one goes above the line, this one goes above the line. Wow.
Well, see, that's why one of my core values is stimulate. And to me, stimulate means to help people just draw out things that they may not have thought of, whether they like me or not.
Like right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Right now.
Okay. And so there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, okay, done.
Okay, so you have 5 on top and 5 on bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I mean, basically what that means is the words above the line are your most important core values. Now the ones on the bottom are important too, but really, if you're looking at the top 5 above that, I mean, they really represent things to you. Because what you're gonna do now is those 5 on the top, you're gonna define each one of those of what they mean to you specifically.
Okay.
So as an example, one of my core values is instruct, because there was also the word of teach.
Yeah.
And I thought about those, but I went with instruct because to me, instruct is not only about teaching, but it's also about guiding, which was another word which I had to throw out because I like that one too. But to me, instruct encompasses teaching something like, say, a concept, but then also guiding and leading them through the concept, like I mean, if it's like a hands-on demonstration of something, but being with them, letting them do it, and then helping them where they may be falling. That's what instruct means to me. Now, I mean, to somebody else, it may be something totally different.
So you want me to do this right now? You want me to like define these right now?
I mean, can you, or?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Because then we'll talk about it.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, since you've been doing most of the thinking and writing, I'll start with one of my, I already said instruct, but one of my core values is entertain. And to me, I mean, that's always been something ever since I was a kid. I always, I love to see people smile, and if I can help them to smile or just see something a little lighter than what they're looking at it now, um, that that's important to me. And I mean, it's important to me in my friendships. It's important to me. Well, I mean, you're with me every week in this group. You know, we're not a bunch of stern fuddy-duddies or anything like that. You know, I mean, we try and make things fun and we laugh and
Okay, my he's just frozen there. Hopefully he'll be back. Oh, there you are.
that was me. I thought you froze. It was me.
No, that was you.
I know.
I
Well,
didn't know that you were frozen. It was part of your entertainment factor.
no, it was the cliffhanger. Is that because I'm out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa? So, okay, so share one of yours to start.
My first one is freedom. And for me, that means being free to experience myself, others, and anything that I desire, when I desire, and how I desire.
Okay, now let me ask you, do you see, now that you've actually defined that, I mean, do you notice that in your business and personal life, that value?
Yes, because I think that one of the things that I promote in my business life is really about helping people create their own freedom of and recognizing the power of the freedom to choose, accessing that power of having the freedom to choose. And then in my personal life as well, you know, even with my children, you know, being having been divorced and having to co-parent, giving my children the ability and the support to choose, you know, where do you want to be, what do you want to do, like those types of things. And even with what they want to do in life, or where they're, you know, from a young age, like giving them, helping them to recognize that it's about being free to choose. And in my relationships too, I think I'm the same way.
Right. And in many of the other calls that we've had and discussions we've had, I mean, I think that's a value that you have been passing on to your kids as well, this idea of freedom. And
Yeah.
like you said, choice. It's like, okay, you want to go do something, you know, do it because you love it,
Mhm.
not because, you know, you're going to make money at it or whatever. You know, I mean, your daughter, she has the magazine, which I love. And, you know, your son, he's kind of going down your
Yeah.
path. And, you know, I think that is a value that you've actually passed on to them.
Yeah.
So,
So I think it is really about the freedom to let others be who they are. You know, again, it doesn't mean you have to choose it, but let people choose what they want. You know, in today's world, there's so much going on,
right.
you know, around being free to choose, free to speak.
Yes. And people do want to kind of step on that freedom. You know, they want you to think their way, but you can't think your way. But, you know, that's irrelevant because to you, this is your value. And,
Mhm.
you know, you can actually see it
Yeah,
in
and I
your
think
life.
you embody went for me, embodying freedom allows me not to get caught up in what other people think or want or don't want or don't think, because it's like, well, you're free to choose and do as you please, as am I. So knock yourself out. Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
it's a
And
whole
well,
new you, boo. Like,
yeah, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But yeah, I'm looking at my phone because that's where I had a paper with my core values on, because I did this at the hotel in Texas
okay.
last week. So I wrote it down, but I couldn't find that paper. But I do have my top 5 on my phone. So,
Got it.
okay. So my second core value was connect.
Yeah, I could see that about you.
And to me, well, thank you, because I'm a people person. And I was talking to the plant manager here at this job, because I have literally been sitting the last time for 53 hours. Now I get paid for every hour I sit, but
Yeah.
which is kind of funny, because we had the discussion about, we don't get paid for time, we get paid for the value we bring to the marketplace, right?
Uh,
Now this is an example where I literally am being paid for my time to
right.
sit here, because we're doing this job. I mean, I haul liquid nitrogen, and they're doing what they call a purge job, and there's like 7 of us here. I know we're getting off of the connect, but there's like 7 trucks here, and they can only do like 3 trucks a day.
Right.
So I sat for 53 hours the last
Wow.
time. So, and you talk about being, that's why I posted on somebody's thing the other day. I learned the value of boredom.
Uh,
I mean, it's, you're sitting in a little box in here, and it's like, but it's cool. But back to connect. But this is what I was saying to the plant manager. I'm a people person. I like to be around people, and that's why I think a lot of times with this particular line of work, I have some struggles sometimes. Being alone. I
yeah.
mean, I love it when we get together every week, and I can actually converse with people of like minds. But it actually does go against one of my core values.
Mm-hmm.
This, go ahead.
No, I could see how that would be conflicting for you, which could cause you to be out of sorts.
Right. And otherwise, just because I'm nuts. But anyway, we're not going to go down there. No. So to me, connection is just that. It is connecting with new friends and new people, getting their story. And it's also reconnecting with, old friends. But still, the most important thing is that connection. And if we can make it fun, that's even better.
Yes.
So yes. And yeah. So that's my second one. And now back to you.
And one is mastery.
Now that I can see, with all the programs and certifications you're forever going through. I mean, you, as far as business wise, I mean, to me, it seems like you really, really want to hone your craft. I may be totally off base with that, but what does
No,
mastery mean to you?
I think mastery, because my business is really, I'm in the business of self-development, that my craft is the development of myself. And so mastery for me represents self-mastery. It's continuously mastering being me, and in doing so modeling this for others to learn from me in order for them to create mastery of themselves.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And if you're not mastering it for yourself, there's not really much that you can offer somebody else.
Right.
So even if you're just a little bit ahead of the game than they are.
Yeah.
And
And I
that's a big one.
that's very apparent. It's just like, even it's just directions, somebody's been a little bit further down a journey to somewhere than you have. Like, oh, I've never been all the way there, but I got as far as such and such. And I know that you've got to go this way or what have you. It's helpful, but I'm definitely, I get very excited about, the self-mastery and the discovery process of myself and what I'm about and what I'm capable of.
Now, since you define that Priya mastery, do you think, looking at it now, do you think that was one of your driving factors why you chose to go through this coaching program that you're going through?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel, for me, it's like, I enjoy going and going. It's like playing a video game. You want to just keep going and going until you hit and then that's it. Now you're on to a new game. So for me, it was just, it was that next level of, okay, well, I know that I've got the content or the skills or the services, all of that, but now it's, where it comes down to the other part of it on the money side, let's just have some fun and make some money.
There you go. Well, I mean, if you're not making the money from the fun, it's, I guess it's not worth it.
That just, and for me, that isn't, so that's something where like an opportunity within that container came up to me and was presented to me. And I was just like, you know what, I've actually already done this. So that part of it doesn't excite me because I already know what that's about. And it just doesn't seem like fun to me, like right now. So I'm going to pass. And that was it.
And that is your freedom to choose.
Yeah. Look at that.
So they just roll right into each other. So anything more on mastery?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Well,
I will say the same.
Go ahead.
If you're going to do anything, to me, that's, you want to master it, because I feel it as not just for the level of accomplishment or achievement, but you really don't fully experience something unless you've mastered it, because there are different nuances and elements to mastery that you may not get at a novice level. You don't really get to experience all of it, but when you're in mastery mode, you get to experience all of it, a broader spectrum of what you would do if you were just dipping your toe in it.
Well, that's a very good point, and that brings up a question. Now, do you think, because I'm sure you counsel people and people that, a lot of people, they get started with stuff and just never follow through. Do you feel, knowing that we're talking about core values, do you think that's because maybe this is not high on their priority list? I mean, okay, for example, fun. Let's take that one. It's not one of my core values. I don't know if it's yours, but to me, fun is doing things that you enjoy. And I think a lot of people get involved in something because they think it's fun. They want to, take it up because it's fun, but then they start to realize that there might be a little more to it, like a little more work, or they might need to learn a little more to actually engage in the fun fully. And then they kind of just, I'm out of here. This is too much. So that idea of mastery is not important.
I think it is that, but also with mastery comes a mindset of pacing yourself and being able to be in that space of, it could be losing, or it could be not advancing, or not feeling like you're growing. It's funny that you the example you gave, because it just reminds me of something. I had this great idea because it was Christmas time, so I ordered, they're called diamond paintings. It's like a trillion little crystals that you have to pick up with this tiny little, like a pin like this, and then you place it, the colored stone, on top of the painting, and you create this diamond painting. And I was just like, yeah, great, I'm going to buy a few for my kids. And hey, I saw my daughter do it, and I looked at it, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to decorate my basement with and put this as a piece of art. And I started doing it, but there was a lot to it, and there was a lot of pieces, and there was a lot of time, and then you had to sort it out. And I was just like, and I thought about it actually today, because I haven't touched it in months. And so it is sometimes that it's just sort of the overwhelm of it. I think the thing with mastery is knowing that you may have those pauses. That is all part of mastery, is being discouraged or being overwhelmed or being somewhat disinterested when it's not flowing at the same pace, but staying on the journey.
Well, but it is funny that actually folded into what we're doing tonight. But you said a very key word, overwhelm. I mean, it's a word I've been hearing all week. Now, to me, the definition of overwhelm is basically when somebody has so much, we could say, information on something, but they just don't really know where to start. To me, that's overwhelm. I mean, does that resonate with you, that definition?
Like, I think for me, so so I can explain, as you're actually saying, I can tell you what happened. There were so many little diamond colors and so many little baggies that it came in. And then my daughter had like this one that would pick up 3 at a time. And I only had the one that picked up 1. So 1, I was jealous of her tools. 2, she wouldn't give them to me, even though I threatened to ground her. No, I'm kidding. But, and then it was just, I
Not
couldn't
really.
create a process of efficiency the way that my mind works. So I got overwhelmed because I was like, I just hadn't come up with it. And then I had other stuff going on outside of that it became too much for me and I put it away. But it was just something that popped into my mind today that, oh, you know what, I should bring that back out and give it another whirl. So I think that there are people too, that letting people know part of mastery is not, it doesn't have to be always that it was always a consistent effort. Like it just happened. There are times where people take breaks and then they master it.
Well, and let me ask you a question. Knowing now that, I mean, I know you probably have known for a while that mastery was something important to you. You may not have defined it exactly like that, but you've known that this was important to you. But now let's say moving forward, say you're talking to a new client and you're talking to your client and you say, because they're probably like most of these people that sometimes they get started on something but then they kind of let it go. So you say to them, well, I don't know if you know, but one of my core values is mastery. And what that means to me is I do my best and do my best to learn these things that I'm going to help you through. And I'm going to try and pass this value on to you in our sessions. I mean, just as an example, to use your core value to speak to your clients and let them know.
Yeah, because the thing is, that is what allows me to be in that mastery position, because I have been through the pitfalls of while I was mastering the skills. So, right. That's what allows me to be able to demonstrate that to my clients. So it would be in essence, it would be like, in words, it would be the equivalent of me bringing my diamond painting and being like, hey, this is what I did. Let me show you how to do it.
Right. I've traveled this road and let me.
Yeah. Or, if there's a tree that kind of just juts right out when you take a really tight corner, you might want to, you know what I mean? It's just, it's those types of pitfalls, but also what makes it easier. So when I look at, say, along the lines, so I was able to take a look and see, oh, my daughter has this 3-prong tool. Is that the most you can get on it? And so part of mastery is learning as much about the topic as possible, which I find a lot of people don't want to take the time to do either. So it comes down to just when you want to master something. And I think when you talk about having fun and things like that, I think that part of mastery is that you have such a keen interest. And maybe it's not like fun like everybody else might define fun, but it is fun for me. So I enjoy the process, which allowed me to keep that as my core value with some of the other words there, right? Being like, bring joy and create fun and all of that. And I was like, well, that's what mastery encompasses for me.
Right. Right. And that's what I was saying. Some of these words, when you really start to define it, it's like, oh, well, this does kind of cover fun and
And
bringing joy and
that's the mindset I use to be able to kind of like cut the list down, because I was like, well, this for me encompasses this, so I can get rid of these two and pop that, just keep, and this is what's left behind.
well, excellent. So there we go, mastery and
Yes.
freedom. So my next one was stimulate. And to me, we were talking about setting that spark. To me, that's what that means. It because we've talked in the past about, and we just kind of alluded to it, that a lot of people, they come home from work and they're tired. They don't want to really do anything to better their situation in life. I mean, it doesn't have to be financially. I mean, maybe they're having a crappy relationship right now. I mean, they could be married for 20 years and still, that spark isn't there. And to me, stimulate is to kind of not where you give somebody the idea or the concept, but you kind of, I know that another word was ignite, but I think of it like that. Like you may say something or demonstrate something to somebody that in their mind, it
Hmm.
sparks and stimulates the desire to want to
Hmm.
master that or
Like this group,
attempt to master that.
like this group.
Yeah, okay, yes, like this group, because when the three of us are together, it's like, and I say three of us, Carolyn, we miss you, you need to sleep, but it's okay. Um, but yeah, because somebody says something that somebody else they may have been thinking about that, but then the way somebody said it, it gives them a little more clarity on what, you know,
But the fact that you created this group, this Facebook group, like that in itself, that you were thinking of something, you created a group,
well,
and
yeah, and
stimulated people into thinking about it, maybe getting a hold of the book. Some of us decided to read the book and share. Like, it just depends, right? But that's a prime example of how you implement that into your life.
right. And now that I've defined that personally, that is, I mean, that exactly fits in there, and so do the other two. Entertaining, because we try and keep it light but serious, and connecting, I mean, we were not friends before.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we didn't know each other even existed.
Yeah.
And, now we've been together almost a year. I
Hmm.
can't believe that. And I mean, a lot has gone on in both our lives, and, funny things, serious things. And I mean, but that's connection. That's, you know, how you do things. And that's how you master relationships,
Hmm.
with people. And yeah, so yes, looking back at it, that was the whole reason for the group, because I thought about this stuff is out there and available for anybody. But
Hmm.
a lot of people don't know about it. And it's
Yeah,
so simple.
I know, right? And then and so that's the stimulation, because like when I look at the process, because I was actually going through that myself in my mind today, thinking back to, wow, we've got to have been here for a year by now. I'm pretty sure.
We've what? I'm sorry.
We have got to have been coming together for at least a year by
Yeah, we
now.
have in July.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. And so recognizing what the just the group did. So we got through the first book, and then where my goals went to and what happened as a result of that. Like, that is that stimulation, because it was, I was thinking about it, and then there's this group, like you put this group there, and I was like, yes. And so it created an outlet. This one was a little bit more, you know, connected to you because you're involved in it. But sometimes I'm sure you just, like, as you say something and it stimulates a thought for someone, and off they go, and you maybe never ever see them again or what have you, but it does keep on going.
right. Well, look at it. You were stimulated to come up with the $10,000 challenge. You just
Yeah.
blurted it out one day. And, you know, people actually did it. And which, I mean, I'm not saying that they wouldn't have done it otherwise, but when they were focused on it, but that number one, it stimulated you to issue the challenge. And then it stimulated those that wanted to be part of it to actually accomplish it.
Hmm.
But well, it is exactly like this group. You know,
Yeah.
there's 126 people in this group, and I know that people watch things afterwards, but
Yeah.
how many are on like this?
Yeah, for sure.
3 of us. But all 3 of us have had breakthroughs.
For sure.
And, you know, I mean, we can't control what other people do, but again, it's like, here's the path. You know, too
Yeah.
many times people see the end result and the people want the end result, but they don't look at what it took to get there.
Yeah.
And
And I just had an interesting thought too, is that when you collaborate with other people, um, it's not even so much about having aligned core values, but if you have people with complementary core values, then that can be really powerful because, like say for instance, somebody who's focused on mastery, um, come collaborating with somebody who's based on connection is going to be a powerful duo.
right,
Right, somebody who's core value is being stimulating, and somebody whose core value is like freedom. It's like, let me inspire and ignite you into, and then here's my partner that wants you to be free, like so that there's endless combinations too when you find what other core values can complement what you bring to the table.
exactly. And it's even better when we have defined our own core values for ourselves and we start to, because the whole purpose is to start to live our lives, even though we have been living our lives like that. But one thing about this group that has always been, and it's the same thing with Abraham, it is about doing things deliberately
Hmm.
instead of haphazardly or by accident, or, because Abraham talks about all the time, everything that we have, we created. Now, some
Hmm.
of it we created by default because we didn't understand. But I think this piece of core values, once you understand that about yourself and you
Hmm.
start looking at things in your life and you say, how, as an example, somebody, uh, you were talking about the investing a couple weeks ago. Okay,
Hmm.
somebody comes up to you and talks to you about that. Then you look at it and you say, well, how does that align with my core values? This thing, because I think people should always think things through, but how do they think things through? Most people have a knee-jerk reaction to things like, if they had a bad experience in the past, they're immediately going to say no, or whatever. They don't evaluate things based on what it is now. But
Hmm.
now taking it through your core values, you can look at anything and seriously think about it. Well, how does that fit in with my value of freedom?
Hmm.
Well, if I start investing, you know, I'm not worried about money, but that may grow. It may be something that I really enjoy. It may be something I can kind of show to my children. I can, whatever. And then that kicks in, and then mastery kicks in. It's like, wow, I kind of like this new arena.
And it's funny because when you say that, right? Like say for just to show you that example. So I have a financial advisor that does some investing for me. I don't know what the heck he does. He makes me money. It's fine. It stays in there. I don't touch it. But then I also use like wealth trade and I do some stuff on my own because I like the freedom to pick stocks or whatever it is I'm using, cryptocurrency, And I like the freedom to choose this much. And I like the freedom to say I'm selling it now. So there's certain things when it comes down to it. But for me, I'm not a master of that. So I look at my core values and I go, okay, where it's really important to me, I leave my money with the master. And where I feel like I'm comfortable, then I'll exercise my freedom.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I say, you probably have been doing this. You may not have defined it specifically like freedom and mastery, but you've been incorporating these values in your life for a long time. But now, hopefully, not only for you, but anybody, once they define these, they can start to look and really deliberately answer questions. Like the one thing we learned in the book we're studying now is we all have the right to say no.
Mhm.
And even if it's to somebody we love, but it's like you said, it's our choice. And that is our freedom to make that choice. And if it doesn't fit in with you, then you absolutely have the right to say, no, I'm sorry, that that just doesn't,
Yeah.
jive with me or mesh with me or align with me, or.
And I also think too, like recognizing, how your core values drive your decisions. So, for instance, for me, I don't want to work for someone else because I like because freedom is my core value. I've said this before a couple of times where I think, oh, maybe I should get a job. And then I think to myself, I get up in the next morning and it's nice out and it's 9:15 in the morning. And I'm like, I think I'm going to go take a swim in my pool. And I ask myself, so what are you going to do with little miss? I'm going to get a job. Are you going to call your boss and say, hey, Bob, the weather's really nice today. So I'm not going to come right now because I need to take a swim and then I'll come to do your job. And it's like, Bob's going to say, you're fired.
Yep.
Right. Or I just, for me, I recall like being back working for someone else. And it's like, this is your lunch time or this is your break time. And I'm like, well, what if I don't have to pee during that time? Or what if I'm not hungry during that time, but I'm hungry during this time? For me, the freedom, so it drives me in as well towards say mastery, because when you're a master of something, I've noticed that okay, your earning potential creates more, like it just all ties together, you know what I mean? It loops. Rodney, I think he could be frozen again.
Okay, don't leave me because I don't know what it.
Can't go anywhere. I was like, okay, I
Yeah,
think it's probably frozen, but yeah,
if it does,
I
said,
think they're interlaced, and that so you can see sometimes how you navigate through your life, and that one works, you've created a system maybe even where they work together because that's where your core values are. And I
right.
think finding a way to live freely, having mastered putting all of them together is like the way to go.
Well, and you made a very good point about that, calling Bob up and saying, listen, I'm taking a swim today. But you think about it, and again, nothing against people having jobs, but I think that is the one thing that a lot of people give up. They do give up their freedom because you cannot just say, look, I'm taking the week off, because my kid's going to soccer camp and I want to go. No, you have to get permission to do
Yeah.
that.
But freedom also requires responsibility,
That was the word I was thinking.
and accountability. So it's like, what are you going to choose to do with your freedom? And there are people, I know many people who have probably worked from home during the pandemic, had a different way. How did they manage and monitor their time? Like I've been trying to say to my kids, because everybody's off for the summer, there's 6 people in the home, and on a Sunday night or during the week, they want to watch a movie. Mom, let's watch a movie. And I'm like, well, I have to work. Like, I've got stuff to do tomorrow, so I need to get this much sleep. Oh, come on, Mom. So it's you have to have that level of discipline, responsibility, accountability, balance, all those things,
Right.
to manage those like freedom and things like that. So, all right.
So now
Anyways,
what's your third one?
my third one is love.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah. And so, to put love into words, I actually wrote, love is a state of being. There are no words, but it is everything in everything that I do and am.
I can see that. And I mean,
I
how
know
much more to elaborate?
if I let you no more, you're out. Like,
What's that?
if I don't let you no more, you out. Like,
That's
it's
right. It's like no, no love stop here. So
no, but I believe in, really, and it became something that I was able to kind of put into practice, and in a mindset in my early 20s. I remember like being fairly newly married, and I came from a somewhat affluent home. My husband didn't. I remember like saying to him, when are we like going on vacation? And we just got married in September. It was January, and he said, we just got back from our honeymoon. And I was like, well, I vacation like 3 times a year. And we can't
right,
afford that. Right. And so we began this. I went through a phase of living off credit cards and things like that. And very quickly, as a young adult, got into debt. And I remember reading this. It was a fiction novel, but Confessions of a Shopaholic. But it gave me a mindset of, if you don't love it, don't buy it. But I took it a step further. Don't engage in it. Don't do it. Don't put your energy into it. Because if you don't do things from that perspective, then what are you doing it from? Like, what energy are you doing it from? So, right down to like when I had a nanny in, when I had the 4 kids, it was like I would saw her one day cooking dinner like this, because it was time for her to go. And she was like, da, da, da. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm cooking. I'm like, that's my children's food. It's going to go in their stomach, like with an energy. That's not love. So that was it. After that day, she never cooked again for my kids. Because for me, it's not that. I don't want to do it if I can't do it that way.
right. And it makes you think now when you go to a restaurant, it's like, hey, let me ask you a question. Uh, what's the chef's mood today? Oh,
Yeah.
he's in a great mood. You're going to have a great meal. It's like, I don't know. He came in and he looks like he's kind of pissed at something. And it's like, um, okay, maybe you could literally go eat somewhere else. And I know a lot of other people outside of us may think that's insane, but the energy that you are being at that time goes into whatever it is that you're doing. So if
Totally.
somebody's cooking your food and they're pissed at the world, your food, you're going to be like, I
But
don't know, the
even
steak
that,
here is usually good.
the energy even of your food. Like, I have to tell you, this summer I started growing a lot of my own stuff. And oh my gosh, like, I can tell you, homegrown, organic, not organic, like there are differences in the energies of things. So even that, it's different, because even the planting something out of love to grow in your garden, to share it with your family and pick fresh as you cook, versus having to make a living off of it, is a very different energy.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And when back when I was married, we had chickens. And my oldest daughter, I mean, it was so nice to go out to the pen and gather the eggs, and the eggs tasted totally different than you ever,
Totally.
even organic eggs that you bought in the store. And
Yep.
when we didn't have the chickens anymore, my daughter stopped eating eggs.
Yeah.
She just refused. She
Well,
was
I
so spoiled.
but it isn't, it's aware. We call it spoiled, but it's actually aware, because she knows what it's meant, what it can and is supposed to taste like, and then you bring this substandard thing and you're like, no thanks. And honestly, a lot of people, you know, they, particularly my children, they're like, mom, you're so this that, but I'm just so aware of the energy of things. And when we talk about chefs, I can tell you my stomach knows right away what mood the chef was in when something is, you know, or whatever's going on, the energy of the food, because right away I'll feel it. So when you do get somewhere and you're in an ambiance of it and the energy and the food is amazing, like that's just, to me, like that in itself, that's love. Like that's just love.
Exactly. Exactly. And I agree that, love has to be in everything. I mean, well, think about what people do. Think about what you do. Just think about if you didn't think about love and you were coming from a stance of anger and animosity and trying to counsel somebody.
No,
How
and,
how
and that's why
good do you
even
think you would be?
I'm a wedding officiant, because I even say that because I love love. I love love so much. Like the hardest part I have performing a wedding ceremony is not crying while I'm performing the ceremony, because I'm like, I just love love and I can feel it. It's a little bit selfish because there isn't, for the most part, one of the most powerful loving moments is when two people get married. The love that is there, the love that is generally in the room for the most part, unless somebody doesn't like somebody, it's choice or whatever. But for the most part, when you've got those two people like just really full of love, it's such an epic feeling and energy to be in.
Oh, I agree. And people can feel it. I mean,
Yeah.
even our animals sense it.
Yeah, for sure, and so there's that, like, and you know, the other thing, because I'm a life celebration specialist, it's like births and deaths, and you know, it sounds morbid, but also so much love is expressed at a funeral,
Yeah.
you know,
Unfortunately, a lot
people,
of it was stuff they should have said when the person was alive.
it's true, but you know what, this again, you feel it on a
Yes,
level, you feel it from a place of now it's too late for, but it's there, and love is love. So and babies, and when babies are born, you're doing baptisms and whatnot, but it's just amazing.
it is amazing. And more people need to engage in love in their life, you
Yeah.
know. And it's not just physical love or love between
Mm-mm.
spouses, but
No.
love for what you do, love for your, even if you're not happy with your job, try and find something to love about it. Love that you live in a house and you have a roof over your head, your kids have food. That's all
Yeah,
because of your job. And
I know.
that goes back to appreciation.
Well, that's like my son and I forget what the job was we were talking about. It's like, I can't imagine having to do that. And I'm like, oh my God, I would love that job. Like, you get to do this and this and this. And he's like, you're the only wackadoo that would, because you think that way. Would you actually would love it? I can see that. And I'm like, yeah, because there's some pouring coffee. That's probably like such an important thing to so many people's day.
Right. You talked about that before. You could be a barista for like 4 hours, and you're out of there. You got that out of your system. You'd be going back in line saying, "Can I have a latte, please?" I want to go. But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'd love to do that job, but not for a living. I just want to
Yeah.
try it out. You don't even need to pay me. I just want to the
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I would just do it for the love of it.
You're hired. So
All right. What you got next
we
then?
have freedom, mastery, and love. I had entertain, connect, stimulate, and now my fourth one is create.
Mm.
But that was a tough one because I think it was stimulate was the spark, but to me, create is always I've always had this attitude that, number one, I love when people told me that I couldn't do something, because then I just made the way. And
Mhm.
and I think that is creation, but it's also, I love the whole idea of co-creating. Like you
Mm.
said, this group, it's called a mastermind because we are all creating together, and we may not be creating the same thing. I mean,
Mhm.
you're creating things in your life. Carolyn's creating things in her life. I'm creating things in my life. But when we come together, that energy is the same.
Yep.
You know, what it ultimately goes out to is different for all of us. But the
Mhm.
energy itself, the mindset, the focus of that is the same. And I mean, I think create is such a powerful word because it's like the start of everything. I mean, if if you didn't have the stimulation to think of something which created the thought, you couldn't, it would be nothing.
Mhm.
Even choosing your clothes in the morning or eating something, it goes that deep,
Yeah.
that create. So
Create
that's
a big one for me too, because there was that and something else somewhat like it, but I kind of lumped it into freedom because I felt like in freedom I create anything and can create anything. If I free my mind, I can create whatever I want. If I, free up my life, I can have whatever day or lifestyle, whatever it is I want. So but I definitely have a value for creation and the power of creation. I just, when you gave me all these little limited numbers, I was like, okay, I'm putting that in there.
well, I mean, I didn't want to add that you could add your own words too, but then you would
No,
have been up
these
to like
were,
96.
yeah, no, these were fine.
But no, but I agree because
Hmm.
actually freedom was one of the words that made it all the way down to my final list.
Mm,
And to me, because I have that mindset also of wanting to be able to do things the way I want to do them. I mean,
yeah.
I've always been like that, but I did kind of lean more towards the create part. And
Mm.
again, whichever,
Yeah, yeah,
I
no,
can
whatever
see how
way.
that encompasses
Yeah,
freedom.
and that's the thing. As you said, it's like, what does it mean to you? So I think that anything can mean, you could say I can create freedom. Like it just doesn't really.
Right. It's
So
it's
either,
what does
yeah,
it mean? It's your
yeah,
core value, not
sure.
not
Yeah,
what somebody else's
universal
is.
core values. Yeah, for sure.
But that's how I look at things. I mean, I looked at this when I thought about this group when I was stimulated with the idea. I thought you froze again. I was like, damn, here we go. But she was like, but when I was stimulated with the idea of doing this group, that was my whole thing. Is I said to my buddy Rusty, I said, I want to see what we can create
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
I mean, these resources are available for anybody, and most of them are free,
Right. So there's the freedom. We have the freedom to do it. So let's see what we can do.
right? And all together, we're mastering it.
Yep.
Hopefully. I mean, what's that book? It's like, it takes like 10,000 hours to really master something, they say. But hey, if your results are speaking towards that and it took you 20 hours, yes, you can always improve. But
Yeah, for sure.
but I just, you know, that's create for me. So what was your fourth one?
Elegance.
Now that's interesting. I want to see how you define this.
I defined elegance as having an authentic and natural, energetic and physical energy.
I can see that. I mean, that's one of those ones that for me would have been tough to try and, you know, have an idea of what that meant. But
I think it
that's
means that there's certain things that you can do that you can manufacture, but I feel like elegance is difficult to manufacture. It's just like something that
you
it is.
have.
Yeah, you
Yes.
just sort of it just, you look at a table and it's just elegant because of the way it's done. Like there's no there's not much you have to say about it. It's not, the food's not on it yet or anything like that. It's just the way it is. It's just elegant. That's what I feel like. So for me, particularly in today's world where there is so much manufactured and filtered and doctored and not real, elegance is very much important to me, to come through with that naturalness.
Right. What I'm getting is I'm getting this picture of Cruella de Vil, actually, because to me, Cruella is, although she has the trappings of all this affluence, she would not be, in my terms, considered elegant because she is not authentic.
Right.
This may be a totally bad example, but then you look at somebody, and I'm not saying because of their wealth, you look at somebody like Princess Diana,
Yeah.
who just had this awe about her that, you know, you could feel her genuine, authentic self in everything that she did. And that had such a beauty and an elegance to it. Not because she was, you know, part of the royal family or any of this. It was because of who she was as a person. And you can tell
Yeah.
when they're a poser. You know,
Yeah.
Cruella's a poser. She really is. But
I think too, with elegance, like for me, it also comes with a connection to like a regard for one's own sacredness. It's almost like it's almost like a sacrament to like, you know, if you have a table, you wouldn't just throw a paper napkin on. Like there's a reverence you have for your being or your home or the way you set your table. Like those are words I'm just using that people naturally refer to something as elegant, or a party decor, or you walked into a home or what have you. So I think it also is linked to me for a reverence and an appreciation of that in the way you demonstrate it. Sure, could I just throw anything up or throw anything on? Yes, but I have a level of appreciation and value and sacredness about it that to me it needs to be adorned in something elegant.
oh, the way you carry yourself. I mean, you know, somebody that is not elegant. I mean, you don't have to dress nice and everything to be elegant, but there's a certain way somebody carries themselves. And this is not to do with elegance. Maybe it does, but it does have to do with authenticity. Because one of the things we discussed in the elite class was people not being authentic. Like we were talking about networkers for one thing, and it's like people saying like, oh, you know, you should do this, we can make $10,000 a month and this and this. But the point Jim had brought up is, if you are not doing that currently, you would talk totally different to somebody if you were actually doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Oh, I do. And it's, you know, usually I would say people who are doing it or have it aren't talking about it.
right. And it's
So
not that it's not possible, but
no, and I've experienced that firsthand in marketing programs that I've been in, and I refuse to market in such a way that if it isn't about that. So that's why I feel as though you know, I am in mastery of self-mastery, because that's what I do and I can speak to it. And so I can offer tips and things like that. But I know exactly what you mean. Like I see so many people, and especially being in the coaching business, that are, let me show you how to get this. And to be honest with you, I've actually been in a very large global organization before, of a coaching type of self-development. And I remember asking, because there was a roster, and I said, so I'm looking for a coach that's a woman who is a single mother, who earns 6 figures or more, like, so she has children. She doesn't have to be a single mom, and it doesn't have to be her husband, but she has a very healthy relationship, like romantic relationship. And so can you tell me who that is? And I want to train from them. And they didn't have one.
So you created one. You.
Well, yes, but even now, like even the woman that I'm coaching with, all the boxes are ticked again, right? That I can learn something, because when you're trying to learn from somebody, there has to be that rapport there, and there has to be that level of, okay, well, okay, so because I see lots of people out there who are businesswomen, but they don't have kids at home, or they're not, like, so how are you managing your family balance life? Oh, well, I'll show you how to balance, but you're not doing it. So like, I can't really, for me, I always liken it to, I could never have a male obstetrician. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'm like, you don't even have the parts to know what's going on down there. How are you gonna come and tell me how to have a baby? Like, it's weird.
Right. But us men, we know everything.
Well,
But
that's what I like. How arrogant is that? Like, wow, okay.
well, like they say, if us men were having babies, there would be far less children in this world. The first time you heard about your buddy going through it, it's like, look, somebody's getting fixed. That's
Yeah.
just the way it's going to be. That's,
Yeah. So that's what I had. What did you have, I guess, for your fifth then?
well, I still want to stick with something there. What you were
Oh.
saying about being authentic and choosing things. Now, that is why I never really bought into the fake it till you make it kind of mentality. And that's prevalent in many different circumstances and all different kinds of things. But here's a question I do have. You said like this coach was, all the boxes were ticked. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, say your friend came to you though, and she wanted to do the coaching too, and she introduced you to that. Now, would you be saying, well, since you, friend, haven't done that, I don't know if I'm going to go through with this coaching thing? Or would you say, well, wait a minute, let me investigate this, what you presented to me, this coach, and then, hey, let's do it together. Just because they may not have done it, if they have the access to somebody who has done it, that's different. But if you're standing there saying, well, I can counsel your marriage. I know exactly what the problem is. Oh, well, so you have experience with this? Oh no, you're my first clients. That's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would you agree with that jumbled?
I think I got you, but the example I got, I was like, yes, go with your friend that has some experience. Yes, do it the one where client. No, I don't know what the rest of it was, but
I don't know what the hell I was saying anyway. I was just
okay.
I've heard so many
I'm glad
things in my
I was
head.
just me that was lost. Okay.
But the whole point to anybody listening to this, no matter what field you're in, always try and be your authentic self.
Yeah, and I
Because
think with elegance, I don't think it is something when you say it's the way you carry yourself. Well, what does that really mean? It's just you being you.
no, I meant that it's just part of it.
That's
It could be part of it.
Yeah, I think I think with, to me, elegance is indisputable. It's not subjective. It's not like, it's something that whether you, like I said, if you took away the food off the table still looked elegant. If you walked into the room and no one was there, the room was elegant. It wasn't about, it's just the way it is. Sort of the shell of it kind of is just that.
Well, as an example, Matthew McConaughey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether he's dressed in a tuxedo or he's just wearing ripped jeans and a t-shirt, you know, he still has an aura about him that, you know, you understand.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what he may look like at the moment, what he's wearing, but him as the person, you know who he is and you know what he stands for. I was
Yes.
gonna, okay, stop for you. He's making room for shoes under the bed. It's like, you know, it's like, no. But I'm still working on that. I was gonna post a video from him. I might still post it just as a teaser, but you know, not a
Yeah.
video that I did because if you know
No,
if
no.
I did a video with him, you would have been
Oh,
involved in
yeah, I
that
bet it had be.
because that would the love would definitely go out the door then. It's like, talk to Matthew. You didn't, not a text, not a call, not a carrier pigeon, nothing. You're gone, man. I'm unfriending you. I'm
Yeah,
complicating
it'll be
things,
over.
everything.
Yeah.
It's that would be the end of it.
Hmm.
I don't I don't care how much freedom you think you
Yeah. You would be in the I don't love you no more
know.
pile.
I definitely my ass would be off the mountain in a heartbeat. So that's okay. But my last one was instruct. And as I said before, I like the idea of teaching. I like the idea of guiding because I like people to see that they have more options available in their life and in all their different areas than a lot of times we think we have because we're in the middle of it and we can't always see everything around us. But to me, instruct encompassed all of that teaching, guiding, mentoring, because I really like the word mentor. Um, but instruct is not just showing somebody something, not just stimulating them to think about something, but it's doing that, but then it's also taking them on that path. And not necessarily that you've been on that path, but you know where you're going. You
Hmm.
do know about the tree up there. You may not have swung wide to get around it, but you are aware that the tree is there and you do know that you have to swing wide when you get there. But
Hmm.
this other person does not know that.
Yeah.
And so in that case, that's why I'm saying that the person may not necessarily have the experience, but they know the road.
Hmm.
And so you're going kind of going the road together. But that's not with everything. I mean, if you're talking about brain surgery, I would hope that, you don't come in saying, wow, I just got out of medical school. You're my first brain. Let's cut this baby open. It's like, no, I think I might, can I have another doctor, please? Nothing personal, but you know, he knows
Yeah,
the
I hear
road.
you. I hear you. But for me, for being that one of my core values is mastery, I would like, I think for everything that I've tried to do, I've always looked to like who's at the top of this game and tried to study with them or whatever. So I would be biased against that
Right.
because it goes
Especially
against my
somebody
core
working on your
values.
brain.
Yeah.
You don't want that. It's like, who's been doing it? Who is the top in the world? That's who
Yeah.
I want,
Yeah.
you know? But no. So what is your last value
Integrity.
that I can see too? See that
And I think he froze again. I'm sure he'll be back shortly.
reconnect.
There you go. We're back.
Okay, that didn't do its thing that it normally did, but you like turned your head and I thought, okay, we're going to go through integrity. So let's get through integrity before we.
Okay, yeah. For me, I said integrity is always acting for the highest good of all parties involved.
Okay. And you definitely do that in your business life.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, I've integrated that into my personal life because I think it's part of love.
And it's part of mastery.
Yeah, you know, when it comes down to it, like there there there's opportunities in life to make selfish decisions in relationships, and I think that when you act out of the highest good for all parties involved, that you maintain that integrity, and I think vibrationally it's very important.
And I agree. Now, see, my definition of integrity has always been basically you do what you say you're going to do.
Mm,
You know, you represent whatever you say you're going to do, you do that. Even a company. If a company says, well, this is the way we treat our people, then you treat your people that way.
mhm.
Don't say that, and then
Yeah,
people are employees of your company, and then the way you treat them is not what you said is the way you treat them. But
yeah. I think too, like maintaining integrity. Like I see a lot of people who act out of integrity by, you know, intellectual property theft. You see it, so it's rampant in the networking and the social media business, or the integrity of something, like really knowing what you're doing before. You know, for instance, you gave an example. It's like, oh well, I'm doing my first marriage coaching. Well, there's a level of integrity in saying that, because this is someone's marriage and you don't know, are they at the, like, that fine line before they're ready to throttle each other or sign this papers, and this was it, this was the last, hook or crook to save the marriage, and you come in. And so I think that's just a level of integrity, that being as honest, authentic, and recognizing who you're involved, like, and what you're involved in, and that you're actually considering the highest good of everyone involved.
well, that's the part I love. I love that. I love that idea of considering everything that's involved. I was watching this show on Netflix since I've been sitting here for 53 hours. It's that show called Atypical
Mhm.
about the autistic kid and his mom, Jennifer Jason Leigh, in the one uh, thing, she ends up having an affair with this bartender. If you watch the show, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin it for you, but that action, when you were talking about like the marriage counseling, that action is a prime example of not looking at how it affects everybody. And it doesn't mean, you don't need to include everybody. You do need to include your spouse, your kids, So yes, you had momentary pleasure in that action for yourself, but the consequences of that are far more reaching
Yep.
than that. And so that was an act of not having integrity.
Yeah. And that's, like, just being candid, I've been in situations where somebody's approached me while I was married, and I'm explaining to the gentleman, this is just a little, moment for you. This would have implications and possible ramifications. Like, I'm married, so this has far greater room for demise than it does for pleasure, where and that beyond what you're seeing right now. So it is, I think, being in that integrity. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but it is, I think, when you live by those standards, um, it just maintains, it just is an energy of integrity that you carry with you, like elegance. It's just natural, because then it becomes much easier to always spot and catch yourself, like, staying in alignment or out of alignment with things.
Well, in that example, what does that say about this person? This man that approached you, his integrity.
Yeah.
Obviously, he
Or it's around pricing, like it's anything that you price a product, everybody's trying to make a profit. So it's the integrity of really offering a value and a true value at the your market value of goods. Or there's so many different ways that you can talk about integrity.
Right. And just to be clear, I mean, there's many instances where people are married and they do discover somebody, and it's not like you said, it's not just a one-off thing for pleasure. I mean, but somebody does fall in love with somebody. I mean, whatever the situation may be, that happens. But you know, in a situation like that, I would, and I mean, it goes on with men too. You know, especially when somebody says to you, you know, a gentleman approaches you and you say, "Well, I appreciate that, but I'm married," and somebody says, "Well, that doesn't married doesn't really matter to me. I don't really care." What? Oh yeah, you're the kind of guy I want to be palling around
Well,
with
that's the
for
whole thing, right?
sure.
Like that exact example happened too New Year's ago. My cousin and I went out together, and my husband was working, so we were there. And this guy was like, I was leaving first of all, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to dance?" I'm like, "No, thank you." And then he was like, "Can I buy you a drink?" And I was like, I'm married." And he goes, "Well, so do you want my number?" It's like, "No." And then he goes, "Well, maybe do you just want a boyfriend?" And I was like, "No, I don't." Like, and if I did, it wouldn't be you. So
Will you get in my Volkswagen?
yeah,
What can
sometimes
I
it's
do to get you in
like
my
that.
Volkswagen?
But it's all kinds of things. Like, how many scams and fraudulent activity is taking place right now, and where's the integrity in that?
Well, there isn't.
Right.
And again, because people's values are crap.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, but in order to take advantage of somebody, you your values are different than most other people's. Now, I'm not saying, sometimes somebody may take advantage, not intentionally, and
Mhm.
but if you know that you're doing something that is not above board and you're trying to pursue that, and for especially for personal gain, I would say that your values are screwed up somewhere. I mean,
Well, they're probably not defined by one of the words that was on the,
probably not.
but I mean, it is what it is, right? So it's core beliefs, people's, and you have to look at, I always look at how do people derive their core values and how did that become their value. So oftentimes people who are living in a mode of self-preservation or just mere survival may be aligned with those types of values, because at that time that's all they can value. It's their life. It's their way they put food on the table. It's their way they keep a cup in their hand while they live on the street. Who knows, right? But I just think that when it comes down to this, core beliefs, that's the title, come down to where your values are at, and where you feel your priority and your needs are.
Well, and this brings up a question that when I went through training the other week, one of the questions asked was this. This was at the for the what I'm doing now. The question was, these people that have made, billions, do you think that they have screwed people over to get where they are? That was the question. And it was odd because the majority of us in the class, there were four of us and the instructor, we said, no, we don't believe that people screw people over to get where they are, you know. But the one guy, he did believe that. And it came back to again because he believed that he said, well, all these people that are working in these companies at the bottom and everything, they're the ones that are doing all the work for these people to to have these things and they're not getting paid what they deserve and everything else. And that's when I piped up, because you know my thoughts on this. You know, nothing against people personally, but they are getting paid what they deserve. Because if they were not getting paid what they deserve, they would be getting paid more or less. And if they want to get paid more, they have to become more valuable even in their own job. And then they will get paid more. But I don't believe that the owner is doing that. It's business. You know, you don't have all the skills of this, so this is where you start, but you don't need to stay there.
But I think for me personally, my belief around this, or my feelings around this is there are two people that believe something. There's a business owner who knows they need ABC done, and they believe it's worth this much. And there's a person who needs a job and they believe that they are worth this much. And these two people come together. And I think it really comes down to, since this is the core beliefs, it believes like there are certain things where if you said to me, go do this for a living, I'd be like, I don't think so. Do you know how much I make an hour? That's not going to cut it. Right. So, but there are other people that would look at that and be like, oh my God, I can't, how can you even charge that? It's so much. Right. So I believe that people earn what they believe they're worth, what they feel that they are aligned to or qualified to, or what have you, because I guarantee you there are very few people in the world who believe they're worth more, really believe that they're worth more and believe in themselves that way, that are sitting around earning less. They're on their route, they're on their way maybe to
Right,
getting, but there's nobody who really believes they're worth more that's sitting there complaining about how little they get.
right. They are where they are now. And
Because
and again,
they believe they're worth, because that's what they chose.
but and again, I think it does depend about where people are in their lives. Like you just said, if you said to me now, well, why don't you need to go do this to do this? And you're like, no, I don't think so. But when you were single mom and didn't have a lot of money, and somebody said, well, this job would probably be good for you to do, you might have said, well, absolutely, because that's where you were at that time. And somebody may be like with this pandemic stuff, they're coming out of things, and yeah, they know they have to feed their kids, so maybe they wouldn't have done that job a year ago. But it doesn't mean they need to stay there. But they may take it now because they need to feed their kids, and that's what they're going to do to start moving forward. But that doesn't mean they stay there. I mean, that may be a bad example, but what's going on with somebody is going to affect their decision as well.
Yeah, I think that that core beliefs and self-worth are very closely related, and that there are people who are willing, because the other thing too is people who you're describing, and a business owner, they probably don't want to take on what is involved in being the business owner. They maybe do align, like they do connect to it consciously, or maybe they don't, but they know, you know how you know that they don't, because they don't have a business, because they're not the one running the business. So it's one of those things where sometimes I look at, it's like, well, society dictates that this is the bare minimum that people are to exchange labor for, and that's it, and anything after that it's an employee and an employer vibrational game.
Right. When it all should be like that. I mean, but like you said, people come together. The employer says this, and somebody says okay, and then there's a meeting of the minds. But it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it stays like that,
No,
because
I think too, it's what you're willing to accept. And I think that we have been, where this, in this particular example, um, where we were told that the value is in pleasing the employer. And I think that the world is shifting now where that's no longer necessarily where the belief is anymore that employees want to be happy, they want to be healthy, they want to be treated with respect, they
And they
want.
should,
Exactly. But there has been a long period of time where we were living in a world where it's like, you just shut up and be thankful you have a job before tomorrow you don't. Like,
right,
and it was an okay thing. So, the world is changing. And I think that, that sometimes there are still places people who are business owners that want to have a hefty bottom line will gladly zap up people that are willing to work for less. And situations of desperation will create those. So you look at, even in industry and manufacturing worldwide, well, why does everything come from certain parts of the world at a fraction of the cost? Because people's circumstances are far more dire, and they will, because of that, they'll take less.
right. And the owners of the company usually have to answer to shareholders. And if I can get the same work done for less, that means more profit to the shareholders. So that's a business decision. It's not a personal decision to say, oh, well, I hate America, I want to go overseas. No, that's not what it is at all. Because the other example was in that same discussion, you, I have a business and my business was, you know, not doing as well as it did. So somebody came in and they said, okay, I'm going to give you $200,000 for your business.
Mhm.
Now, is that a crappy thing for me to take? And oh, well, you're letting go of your employees and you're doing all this? No, it's nothing personal against my employees. Hopefully the new owner can keep some of them on, but he may not. But that is not that is not because I don't care about my employees or I don't care about this or that. It was a business decision. I mean, now that may free me up to be able to do something else where maybe I can hire those same people or different
Mhm.
people. I mean, but to say that, well, you're just doing that to be selfish. Well, I guess I am because I can't help anybody else if my business went
Well, and
under and you'd lose your job
kind
anyway.
of not even the point, to be honest with you, because it's called a business for a reason, and that's the whole point. Like, if somebody said to you, well, why don't you make less to make something, like, I don't know who would do that. With that same money, somebody who collects a paycheck, if where do they go? They go out to, I don't know, wherever they shop. Where the last two places you shopped, right? Whatever you shop for. If you were going to get it $5 cheaper for going across the street, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I would.
yeah. And I mean, there's certain things that it doesn't matter, if you can pay less for it, you're going to pay. But there's other things in your life that you are going to pay more for because that's your
Right.
taste.
And then, but there are certain things, like, I remember years ago, I had a woman that was cleaning my home. And she said she was going to be late that day because she had a medical appointment. I was like, okay, fine. So she showed up, and she had this thing on her neck. And I said, are you okay? And she said, well, I had to have a biopsy and this morning, and I'm feeling this and that. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Go home. And she said, well, I needed the money. And I was like, well, here you go. And bye-bye. Now you go home because you need to rest. I mean, at the time, this woman was like maybe in her late 50s, early 60s. My mother was the same age. And for me, I was like, my God, imagine if that was my mom and she was working, like, cleaning homes, and she had to go to work even though she was ill because of this. So for me, things like that are integrity. It's like, for all parties involved, am I out some money? Yeah, but for what good does it do? And is the house dirty? Yeah, but it'll be dirty when she gets here next week. So big deal,
Right.
right? So to me, there's a level of integrity in how we are treating people and how we are regarding people, and quality of life. And I think that there is a way, of being able to maintain a level of integrity in a place, even though you might not be the highest paying business, but there's still a way of maintaining integrity and being in business. And it's just be crafty, be savvy and find it.
Right. And in that example, I mean, that shows your elegance, because there would be other people that say, I don't care what your emergency is. You're here to clean my house, and you need to, you need to be here because that's why I pay for you to be here. And there are people like that, and they are not very elegant.
Yeah, and I think there's things where I had another situation was doing the renovations in my house, and when the contractor said, "Well, this other guy did something and it cost me money to fix it because," and I was like, "How much money do you think you're out?" And he was like, "Well, I think I'm out $300." I'm like, "Here you go. Do you feel better now? Move on." So it's like, if that's what it takes for you to feel valued, but it wasn't, and it continued onwards but I felt that I maintained my integrity because I felt like, okay, if he was truly out of the money, then I compensated for that. And if he will, if that wasn't really the case, then it'll come back around, it'll sort itself out, because I know how I was in the vibration of integrity, so I will attract more integrity.
Well, that brings up a funny example. The former paramour, she was running Uber last night, and she picked up this Indian couple, and they were talking, and they're saying, "Well, what do you do?" And because she owns a salon and everything, she says, "I'm doing this because I need to reach my goal." And she says, "And I'm like $180 away from reaching my goal for the week, so I'm going to do this." So she's running, and next thing you know, she calls me last night, and she's like, "I can't believe this." I said, "What?" She said, "That Indian couple, they told me I had to take a break and go home and stuff. They tipped me $180 for like a $9 fare." And I said, "And what you do now is you go home. Don't keep driving around out there. You had put out there that this is what you wanted to do. The universe has now rewarded you with exactly what you asked for." And she's like, "I just can't believe that these people would have done something like this. It is amazing." I said, "Well, there are people out there like that, but you created exactly what you wanted. Now don't get greedy and say, oh, well, I'm just going to do a couple more rides." No, no. I mean, do you agree with what I said with that?
Yes, I do. I would have said, okay, well, this is what I asked for and I got it. So now I'm going to go home and do what I said I was going to do. If I could have waved the magic wand, which I really did, and now I created this, I'm going home. But you're right, there are a lot of people that would, because those people gave that thinking that they would create a break for this person and do that. So they gave it in that spirit. So you honor it, and with the spirit in which it was given.
Right. Because my thinking is that's just going to bring more abundance your way anyway.
It may,
Maybe
it may,
not in the same form, but
it may not, but I think that the fact that you honor the spirit of something that you asked for coming to you and appreciate that, then that just shows appreciation, and it allows you to, even it is a mindset change moment, because this is someone who said, I don't believe that they did that, and hasn't experienced that. So that is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to turn around and do something for someone at the capacity that you can do it.
well, like today, she didn't work. And
Yeah.
because I said, I hope you took the day off because you didn't need to hit your goal. You already hit it. She says, I didn't. She says, I got up this morning, I made chicken, and I did all this kind of stuff. Now I'm at the park. I'm going to go run. I'm going to do this. And she says, I'm relaxing today. And I said, well, good. Then you're, like you just said, then you're honoring, what you wanted, and you're honoring what they helped you achieve.
Hmm.
And if you could tell them that, I'm sure they would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
But of course, she can't express her thanks because there's no way to
Yeah. Yeah. Communicate.
contact them. But
Hmm.
yes. So, and on that note, I mean, anything else?
No, I think that was great. That was fun.
Okay. Now, this now moving forward, now we can look at these things and think about our core values and say, hey,
Yeah, but it's funny though, because going through the process of eliminating all the words, I was like feeling a little like, but when you really, it just goes to show you that weeding through some of the crap, like even though it's good crap, right? There's nothing on those pages that were
right,
not primitive words. But that like when you actually uncover and kind of sift through what, because it all sounds great, but what really works for you and what are you really aligned with, it's far more powerful, and it becomes more fun because it I don't know what this word is, sorry, I'm just getting like this, it moves away, clears away
parting
any
the way,
flood,
parting the waves, parting
like
the
part
water.
of the way, like just you're just getting through, and actually getting to this, and it's like there's your little treasure, this is all you need to know, kind of a thing. And from there you can tap into any of those things whenever you want to, but you know that for you to move forward in a relationship, in a business deal, in a job, in any activity, that's what really drives you. So if 1, 2, 9, 10 of those things are not incorporated or able, to be recognized within those things, maybe not a choice for you.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I mean, all of those other 56 words, 46 words you had on that list, you absolutely are
Yeah.
still all of those. But that was not the point. The point was that, like you said, to clear the path and look and say, this is the handful of things that at this point in my life I feel are the most important values to
Mhm.
me.
So this reminds me because I'm going to the Abraham Pacific Coast cruise in October.
Oh, are you? Is that the why? Is that the one? It,
California. It leaves, I think, from San Diego.
but is it the one that goes to Spain or whatever? Or no?
No,
Where's it going?
on the Pacific Coast. It's just going to California one day and Mexico, and
Oh, crap! How did I not know about that?
they actually replaced it with the Honolulu cruise. Sorry, it replaced the Honolulu cruise because I have a feeling the Honolulu cruise was leaving from Vancouver, and I don't think that Canada allowed for the ship to be leaving.
Right,
So I think that's what happened. They didn't get clearance for that one, so they took it off. And I just knew that they were going to put something else on there, but yes, they did. And so, anyways, what I was going to say is when you're packing for a 10-day cruise, those 10 things are like your 10 basics. You might want some accessories or something to kind of change it up with. Those are my 56 other words that I can tap into, but I know I need these 10 wherever I go.
right. These are my essentials.
Yeah, like it's your wardrobe essentials or whatever, that you
Right.
must have, fridge or what have you, whatever it might be. But that's kind of the way I'm hearing, seeing it.
Well, excellent. Now I've already planned that if they have, I used to always do the March cruises, which were usually the Caribbean or something. So I'm definitely going to be doing that
Yeah, they are doing that for
this
sure. So,
coming year.
all
So
right,
I
well,
used to,
you want to wrap up here and then we can.
yeah, yeah. And now hopefully you guys can go through this and do your own core values and post it in the comments and we'll talk about it. Other than that, have a great and abundant week. Thank you.
And happy birthday to Carolyn.
And happy birthday to Carolyn with her big party. We were virtually there.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Let's see. Um, it's still recording.
Hmm.
Oh, I got to stop recording. Okay.